The Great Room at Grosvenor House Park Lane was the venue for the triennial Cocoa Dinner held by the Federation of Cocoa Commerce (FCC), an international organization established in 1935 to serve the growing trade in physical cocoa. The dinner, which brings together people from the international cocoa community, is the most significant event on the world cocoa industry calendar. The 2015 Cocoa Dinner at the Grosvenor House started with a pre-dinner network cocktail for members and their guests. This year's theme for the dinner was West meets East, with focus on West Africa as the world-leading producers of cocoa and Asia for its growing importance to the global economy. The special guest of honor for the event were His Excellency Pa Kwesi Bekwai Emisa Arthur, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and His Excellency Mohammed Yusuf Kalla, Vice President of the Republic of Indonesia. Representing Ghana Cocobod, the official agency responsible for the production and sale of cocoa in Ghana at the dinner, was Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni, Chief Executive. Also present was the Ghana High Commissioner to the UK and Ireland, His Excellency Victor Emmanuel Smith, along with other ministers, ambassadors and high commissioners of cocoa-producing countries. Ghana is the world's best premium cocoa producer. Mr. Gerard Manley, the chairman of the FCC, welcomed the special guest to the cocktail. The triennial Cocoa Dinner affords the FCC the opportunity to update its members and friends from the cocoa fraternity on the trends of the industry. The event is also to usher in a new chairman for the Federation.
To take your seats. Please now, take your seats.
The evening celebration itself was kicked off with pomp and pageantry as the special guests were escorted into the great ballroom amidst thundering Asian drumming and a lion dance performed by Pak Mei Athletic Association.
Your Excellencies, my lords, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Please welcome back to the stage the chairman.
In his welcome address, the outgoing chairman of the FCC, Mr. Gerard Manley, gave the history of the cocoa industry, its value today, and the important role it plays in the livelihood of the cocoa growing communities.
Cocoa truly is the food of the gods. It played a valuable role in South American culture before being brought to Europe by the Spaniards in the 16th century. In the mid-1600s, cocoa had gained huge popularity with the French aristocracy. And it was a Parisian, no less, who opened the first shop in Bishopsgate, London, in 1657, which spread to over 2,000 chocolate houses by 1700. This was the beginning of the world's cocoa and chocolate trade, to which we all, and many millions of others, now play a part. We are indeed a very valuable commodity. Over $14 billion worth in bean value, traded a multiple number of times. $50 billion in cocoa processing and industrial chocolate, and a chocolate market estimated in excess of $110 billion US. We have a production of approximately 4.2 million tons and a demand which is close to equilibrium, but with a bearing towards a structural deficit that could be amplified in years to come without a response to price or significant agricultural improvement. Since our last dinner 3 years ago, the future markets, and yes, for some extraordinary reason, we now have 5 of them, continue to provide an average daily volume of over 40,000 lots, a total annualized value of $300 billion. The price has appreciated by more than 30%, and we have had a trading range between a low of 1382 and a high of 2,133 pounds per tonne. The combined futures open interest in the same period has had an increase of over 25%. And much more dramatically, the open interest in traded options has increased from a combined number of 190,000 lots to just under 420,000, more than doubling in this period, with the London option open interest bigger than futures. Interestingly, implied option volatility is trading around historic lows, possibly as a consequence of origin forward selling and the rise in OTC transactions. Cocoa has spurned a wealth of businesses, supporting services and activities related to the cocoa bean, and even fashion, as Sylvie Douce demonstrated with Salon de Chocolat models last year. Some of the world's best-known brands have cocoa at their heart, whilst many smallholder farmers depend upon it for their livelihood. The FCC continues to play its major role to promote, protect, and regulate the trade in cocoa beans and cocoa products, and to support and safeguard the status and interests of its members. At the heart of the cocoa trade, the FCC continues to ensure that free, fair, and open business may be conducted, something we should all be proud of.
At each cocoa dinner, the FCC, as part of its social responsibility to support cocoa producing communities, raise funds amongst its members to sponsor a project or a charity that is working within the cocoa communities. For the 2015 dinner, the FCC adopted SOS Children. Mr. Simon Etherington, OBE, Chief Executive Officer of SOS Children UK, gave a short presentation on their work.
We are an international organisation, and we are based in 134 countries around the world. Basically, we look after children that have no one or nobody to look after themselves. There are a lot of children's charities, as you know. we like to think that we are unique in that we place the mother and SOS Mother at the heart of what we do.
For SOS Village, growing young lives.
Following Mr. Etherington's presentation, Reverend Bertrand Olivier gave a short prayer for dinner to be served.
And for the food and wine set before us. Thanks be to God. Amen.
As the guests enjoyed dinner, light classical music was provided by a brilliant strings quartet. As part of the tradition of the dinner, a special letter from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth was read.
A letter from Buckingham Palace addressed to Mr. Philip Sigley, Chief Executive of the Federation of Cocoa Commerce. Her Majesty the Queen was pleased to receive your kind message of loyal greetings sent on behalf of the Chairman, Council and members of the Federation of Cocoa Commerce, together with their guests on the occasion of their cocoa dinner, which is being held here this evening at the Grosvenor House Hotel, Park Lane, London. Her Majesty was very interested to hear of the causes which have benefited from your fundraising efforts and much appreciates your thoughtfulness in writing as you did. In return, Her Majesty the Queen sends her warmest greetings to you all for a most memorable and enjoyable gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the loyal toast. The Queen. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Addressing the gathering, His Excellency Kwesi Bekwai-Arthur, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, a country known as a major supplier of cocoa to the world market and ranked as the world's #1 producer of premium quality cocoa beans, expressed the gratitude of the government of Ghana to the Federation of Cocoa Commerce for promoting, protecting and regulating the trade of cocoa beans and products, as well as supporting and safeguarding the interest of its members.
Trade in cocoa beans and cocoa products, thereby supporting and safeguarding the interests of its members. Ghana is proud to join you in developing a sustainable cocoa economy that improves the livelihoods of cocoa farmers, who are an important segment of our population. Since the introduction of cocoa to our country in the 19th century, cocoa farming has dominated our economy, with almost 3% share of GDP, employing almost 1 million farm families, providing a source of livelihood for millions of our citizens in 6 of our 10 political regions. It generates about 20% of Ghana's merchandise exports currently. It has also created a unique culture for our people, and it determines the pace of social progress and our economic development. When I met Gerald earlier today, I told him I felt a little intimidated by the people who are here, because this is the first time I'm speaking to people who know more about the subject than I do. But I know that I have something that you don't have. I have lived and worked in a cocoa farm in my early life. And I know the smell, the sweet smell of the cocoa plantation. Because every Ghanaian, I suspect, has been associated with cocoa in a personal way. And the theme for this year's cocoa dinner, West meets East.
Speaking on the relevance of the theme for this year's dinner, Mr. Arthur said it reflected the prospect of increasing demand for cocoa products in the Asian region and how this demand impacts on productivity in producing countries, adding that China's chocolate sales is projected to grow by 10% per annum, while strong growth is also expected in the middle part of the BRIC countries. He added that cocoa production in the middle part of America is projected to remain strong, whilst global consumption is growing between 2 to 3% per annum, and the current trend is believed to lead to deficit of 100,000 tons in 2020 in producing countries. The Vice President of Ghana said, Ghana as a country has identified one of the challenges facing the growth of the industry as the lack of motivation of the youth to embrace cocoa farming and take over from the aging farmers. To tackle this challenge, he said,
we need to invest in new farms through a climate-smart approach, as well as increase the productivity of existing farms. But there are various challenges that confront the cocoa sector, and these have the potential of adversely affecting production levels. The government of Ghana recognizes this and is supporting the Ghana Cocoa Board to address these challenges by initiating programs that will guarantee the sustainability of cocoa production. Your Excellencies, one of the major challenges to sustaining cocoa production is a lack of motivation of the youth to embrace cocoa farming and take over from our aging farmers. Ghana Cocoa Board has initiated the Youth in Cocoa Farming program in a number of cocoa growing communities, and this seeks not only to identify young men and women already engaged in cocoa farming, but also to attract new ones to take up this lucrative agricultural venture. So far, over 30,000 young men and women are engaged in cocoa farming under this initiative. They are being supported with the necessary inputs, including free fertilizer as well as agrochemicals for their farms. In addition, like all other cocoa farmers, they are being provided with extension services by Ghana Cocoa Board. The incentives will help to improve upon their yield and income. These incentives will also ensure that these young men and women stay in the rural communities and farm instead of migrating to the urban communities. So Chairman, Cocobod is collaborating with certification bodies like the Rainforest Alliance, the UTZ, and Fairtrade to set certification standards in cocoa production. Farmers are educated on good agronomic practices to ensure sustainability of cocoa production, while at the same time addressing environmental and ethical issues. Apart from this, private organizations such as Kwapa Cocoa and the Ghana Cocoa Abrabopa, these organizations, as well as some licensed buying agencies and some cocoa processing companies, support some cocoa farmers to improve their productivity and income, and therefore increasing numbers of cocoa farmers are joining these certification standards, which oversee technical training, group formation, mapping of farms, and the judicious use of agrochemicals approved by accredited bodies. Our government has also been active in providing direct support to farmers, including the procurement of fertilizers for distribution to cocoa farmers and the provision of extension services to educate farmers on good agronomic practices. To prevent crop losses and ensure the production of good quality cocoa, government provides farmers with agrochemicals to spray their farms against pests and diseases. The Ghana Cocoa Board has also initiated the Cocoa Rehabilitation and Replanting Program to assist farmers to rehabilitate and replant old, diseased, and abandoned cocoa farms. This year, 50 million hybrid cocoa seedlings are being produced for distribution to farmers free of charge. This incentive program will continue annually to ensure the sustainability of cocoa production. Another problem faced by the industry and which contributes to low productivity is the impact of pests and diseases. The extensive scientific research work on hybrid cocoa of the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana, one of the agencies of the Ghana Cocoa Board, must be commended. Their work on drought resistance has contributed to increased yield. Its work on fermentation technology contributes to sustaining Ghana's premium quality. The Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana has done this through extensive collaboration with a number of international research institutions, and hope that this collaboration will continue. Mr. Chairman, I need to emphasize that Ghana is working to eliminate the worst forms of child labor in the cocoa sector. It is in this regard that we have introduced the Child Education Support Program, which is to ensure that schools in cocoa growing communities are rehabilitated and that new ones are built in communities where there are no schools. This will provide the opportunity for children living in deprived cocoa growing communities to have access to quality education. We are also committed to ensuring the improvement of the road network in cocoa growing communities. Combined with other infrastructural developments in the cocoa growing communities, it will help to improve the quality of life, which in turn will be an incentive for the youth to stay in these communities and engage in cocoa farming. Mr. Chairman, let me summarize what I've said in these long, many words. And I'm stating that the government of Ghana recognizes its responsibility to manage the cocoa sector by enhancing farm productivity, thereby protecting incomes and livelihoods. We are committed to ensuring that our children are protected from hazards and exploitation, and to facilitate the adoption of environmental practices that protect our forest reserves and water bodies. We are providing incentives and infrastructure that promise to reverse the rural-urban migration. We also hope to create incentives to improve linkages that will eventually benefit all stakeholders in the cocoa value chain. That is our story. But before I take my seat, let me also thank the sponsors for the support they're providing the Isiakwa Children's Home. We are grateful for your support, and I know that this support will go a long way to support these poor children who are orphan children who receive support and care from the people who manage the Isiakwa Children's Home. I thank you very much for your attention.
The leaders of both the Ghana and Indonesian delegation were presented a gift by the FCC in recognition of their support to the world cocoa industry.
Distinguished guests, allow me a last word.
The grand celebration of World Cocoa in London was called to an end with a vote of thanks by the chairman-elect of the Federation of Cocoa Commerce, Mr. Aldo Cristiano.
Jerry, it has been a tremendous honor to serve with you as the vice chairman of the Federation in the past 3 years. Under your leadership, a lot has been achieved. You have been always dedicated and passionate about the work of the Federation, whose objective you always have promoted. Jerry, I'm now totally convinced that cocoa is within your DNA. And once in your DNA, of course, always in your DNA. I'm honored to take over, officially from midnight tonight, the chairmanship of the Federation, and I do hope to continue to promote the best interests of the Federation as you have done in the past, Jerry. So please join me in sharing our appreciation to our distinguished principal speakers and to Jerry Manley.
The guests, following the vote of thanks, were entertained to musical presentation by Earthlight's Boogie Band.
Get up over that thing, said I get up off of that thing and try to release the pressure.